Hello everyone, how's everybody doing? Welcome to this review of Warhammer 40,000 Sanctus Reach by Starlight Entertainment, published by Slytherin Limited. I'm going to start off by stating this was made for Remlays from 40K Theories for his channel and for the 40K Theories channel. This review copy was sent to me by Slytherin Entertainment in exchange for me doing videos and reviews of said game. I have nothing else to say on that matter for disclosure. That tells you guys everything about how I got the game and what I am doing this review for. Now, in the meantime, I've played through about half the campaigns, both of them, and have found the game is neither good nor bad. It's just kind of meh. To illustrate this, we are going to do a skirmish. It's not going to be a very high point skirmish. 2,000 points is what I'm going to say, which for this game is not very high. You can pick an army list for the most part, but you're still going to be stuck with the inability to really customize the units like you could in tabletop. Game settings are, well, non-existent. Then again, you're going to see why shortly. You can set windowed or full screen. You can set the anti-aliasing, and you can mess with your autosaves. They've obviously been deleted since the last time I played, because I deleted and reinstalled the game to make sure I had a good fresh install for this. Music score, it's actually pretty good. Sound effects are there to be turned up and down at your leisure. But other than that, this is very, very, very bare bones options. There's no option to edit the AI, by the way. The AI is the same difficulty, no matter what. So we're going to fight in, say, the Hollow Hills. You know, that looks good for a randomly generated map. I'm not going to change any of these options. We're just going to randomly generate a battle to show you guys about what you can expect from playing through the campaign. These battles take about, some can take as little as 10 minutes, some can take as long as 2 hours. It depends on the size and the number of units involved. As you can see, my first problem here is no matter if I select random or I pick a specific army list, I am given a list of units and I am expected to pick what I want to take. So for me, I'm going to take the 2 Predators. I'm going to take this Land Speeder. I'm going to take these Terminators. The Long Fang missile unit does not have the ability to shoot at multiple targets. There's only 2 guys in the squad this time. So shooting at multiple targets, as you guys will see, would be kind of pointless. Now, something missing from this particular army formation is melee. You know, the thing the Space Wolves are supposed to be really good at isn't here. We're actually not going to take you guys. We're going to take a Meltagun unit and a Bolter unit. So you can also see there's no customization here. I can't trade this thing's autocannon for las guns or the side heavy bolters for anything. It comes as is. All the units are pretty much stock like that. Now, in the campaign, you do get some more unique units, but also those units are pretty much stock. Furthermore, in a skirmish, you don't get to deploy. You're just deployed. Now, I'm going to show you guys these graphics here. The units literally look like they were painted. This just looks like a tabletop put into a 3D simulation and 3D printed out. These units are not particularly great looking. The cell shading kind of shows through occasionally, especially around the joints and when the units move around. The movement looks kind of natural when they're doing their idle animations, but you're going to see when they're doing their combat animations, it's anything but natural. So, combat. See why I took the vehicles. And why I took the Terminators over regular units. because the vehicles, I mean, you just can't justify the point cost of the regular units to me over vehicles when I can just rip half a unit in half. 3/4. That's the melee animation, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. Now, why I got 2 counterattacks there, I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason a lot of the time for the counterattacks. Sometimes you get 1, sometimes you get 2, sometimes you get 0. And there was no explanation in the tutorial campaign for how the counterattack system worked. I've put 10 hours of my life into this game. I still haven't figured out how the counterattack system works exactly, and I can't describe it to you other than it's there. The computer AI is not bright. I'm moving around trying to keep rocks and things between me and the enemy, or at least keep a vehicle to use as cover, which, by the way, vehicles do count as cover for infantry, as do other infantry units count as cover for infantry. As you can see, ranged combat's kind of devastating. Those were bolt pistols. Those were storm bolters. Twin-linked bolt pistols. That's an assault cannon versus a group of knobs. I'm not sure it's balanced this way in tabletop, but this is kind of silly. Now again, here's the melee combat animation. It just looks silly. This feels like a very poorly animated tabletop a lot of the time. I mean, the game is only slightly better than the tabletop simulator, if for the only reason you don't have to have somebody to play with. But the tabletop simulator mod for 40K works just fine. Compared to this, I think I would rather have that simulator than actually play this a lot, because the AI is just not very good. The multiplayer, you have to sign up for a Slytherin account, which baffles me that you would place your game on Steam and then require multiplayer to have me sign up for an entirely separate service. It's like you're trying to pull a Ubisoft on me, or a Windows game, or a Windows Games for Live. Not sure entirely why that took 2 volleys. Units have an attack, and a ballistic armor, and a heavy armor stat in a lot of cases. They have health, they have morale. Morale dictates if they can continue to fight or not. For the campaign, they can earn experience, which I guess helps them, but from what I can tell, the experience doesn't affect the weapon damage, because I can't really see a lot of what the weapon damage does. It only really affects the accuracy of their guns and the damage they take from morale. We've had a lot of 40K games this year, and Sanctus Reach just doesn't feel all that unique or interesting to me. It really does feel like a cheapened tabletop experience versus a very, very incompetent artificial intelligence. The AI is stupidly aggressive. I mean, absolutely pure stupidity levels of aggression. They had no reason to leave their cover position, yet here they are now. That's the melt-a-gun animation. The control system is right-click to select, right-click, left-click to select, left-click to do things, right-click to deselect, which is an odd strategy game control system that requires a significant amount of getting used to. As you can see, I'm still not used to it after 10 hours of play. And as I said, the AI, like, they had a good fortified position back here that I was going to have to run into and find. And they all come out after me. Which is another thing. You have Fog of War and the AI doesn't. Meltaguns are grossly inaccurate at short range for some reason. I don't understand that one. I always thought they were supposed to be a short range weapon. And now I've revealed most of the enemy AI, and I'm just gonna most of the enemy AI is revealed, and they're gonna get mostly mowed through. The only thing here that's a legitimate threat is the Mega Knobs, and if I kill all their support, they're no longer a threat. That was Storm Bolter Fire, everyone. Which is significantly more effective than standard Bolter Fire, might I tell you. It is ridiculously more effective than regular Bolter Fire. See what I mean? I also have to say, I don't have any special characters here to illustrate the point, but the special characters in the game are fantastically useless. They engage in melee, oftentimes only hitting one of the 4 or 5 guys they've engaged in melee, and then proceeding to get hit back by the entire enemy front line. Yes, they will kill one of those guys, but then they will take a significant amount of damage in return for killing one of those guys, and only end up killing 2 guys, whereas you just saw the Land Speeder's Assault Cannon mow down 2 guys on a reaction fire shot. Now the AI is attempting to use his Mega Armored Knobs for cover, so we're just going to focus them out.
Death to those who oppose the All-Father.
That is the last little bit of thing that they tried to do to save this, was to have little voiceovers occasionally play. And by occasionally, I mean they're really rare. And you're going to hear the same line over and over and over again. I think in my entire campaign, I counted 3 voiceovers from different units. Sometimes in a different voice, but for the most part, a total of 3 voiceovers. Which is drastically insufficient to have voiceovers in the first place. Yeah, that's a flamethrower. In this kind of game. And all of their morale is now broken.
For us and the All-Father.
Regular Bolter Fire. Doesn't hardly hurt him. They're all still standing. The randomness on the shots just means that damage gets distributed in very weird and awkward ways. Now we're actually seeing the Light and Breeze do its job and provide some cover for these guys. But they're not in cover. They're just kind of standing in the open. You can see the units really don't look like they're interacting with anything around them. And again, the AI would be better to close in and melee me in this case. Instead, he's choosing to sit back and shoot at me first. And then just run. He runs away because his morale's broken.
He's dying.
I don't understand why every unit gets 2 attacks, why it's not just 1 shot that fires all of their shots, but that does mean every unit can multi-target at the same time, so I can't truly complain about that. Other than it breaks the experience and definitely breaks the flow of the game to have them have to shoot a second time. Every single unit has to shoot a second time. But as you guys can see, this is what you get for Sanctus Reach for $30. I can honestly... I've been a fan of Slytherin games for a while. I've had a lot of fun with quite a number of them, but this is a step in the wrong direction for the publisher, and I don't mean to be absolutely horrifically mean to the devs who made this, but to be brutally honest, I'm talking more now just because this is boring. I'm bored to play this. I don't know how you are to watch it, but I'm bored to play it. Because this feels purely mechanical. After a few hours of play, everything becomes routine, mechanical. The AI is just not very intelligent and doesn't provide any realistic amount of challenge after the first maybe hour to hour and a half of gameplay. Once you've learned the mechanics, you've learned what units are worth it and what units aren't, you just start stacking your armies with vehicles and Terminators. Because regular Space Marines, particularly the regular melee Wolf Scouts, are they're just bad. You just realize they're terrible and you should just take regular units. And with that, we have basically nearly tabled him. Once you destroy all the enemy units or you capture the required number of objectives, the match ends in most cases, unless you're playing Defender, at which point it's just a matter of either killing all the enemy units or holding out till the turn limit ends. And this is why the Terminators are ridiculous. Those are knobs. Those are orc knobs hitting me there. He clearly has more units he could bring in, and they don't move. I'm engaged in melee, therefore I have to stay here and fight. This clearly is not even a fair fight. I don't understand why the guy back here is not getting involved in the fight when he easily could. More importantly, I'm about to show you something absolutely silly. Any unit can capture. And just drive up and pretty much pwn their faces. Once I realized vehicles could capture points, I came to the conclusion that you should take every single vehicle available to you if you can. Because they pretty much are just going to wreck everything the enemy has. You at least want to take one anti-tank infantry class because your tanks are not very good at killing their tanks. As you can see. Vehicle facing does not matter whatsoever. They have the same amount of armor regardless of the direction they're facing. Units have regular ballistic armor, which prevents standard damage, and heavy ballistic armor, which prevents standard damage and armor piercing damage. These two things do stack, which means that Terminators effectively against regular bullets have 220 some odd armor. Not that I understand what that stat really means, because the power stat is way lower than the Terminator's armor. Same thing for the regular guys with bolters. They say they do 20 damage with 45 power. I don't understand what these stats mean. There's no explanation for how these actually works. Improves chance of... How does it interact? There's no explanation. I looked through the rule book that they provided. There's no explanation for how the stats actually interact. So you're just left to assume that higher numbers are better for you. That was a land speeder just soaking all of that from the rear. And this is the land speeder now turning around and killing everything that's left. Match over. I don't have much more to say about it. Sanctus Reach feels incomplete. It does not feel like a great game. You only have access to the orcs and the space wolves. You have no access. There's Imperial Guardsmen on the cover who never make an appearance in the entire game. it still runs through an old-fashioned Slytherin launcher, which is just used to advertise Slytherin's other games and give you access to the game manual. Which, again, I found the game manual just woefully not useful. It gives some basic information and gives you a glossary of the types of units, but it doesn't really explain how different stats actually interact. It says you get a 50% minus or a 25% boost or what have you there. It seems like everything is done in 25, 50, and 100% increments, which just makes it a little insane. And the launcher's just there to advertise more Slytherin games. It doesn't really do anything that is not already done through Steam. Furthermore, when I signed up for a Slytherin account, I was given lovely Slytherin spam mail. There was no option to opt out. So, all of this said, I can't say this game's bad, but it's not good either. It's like the last 40K game I reviewed. It's kind of meh. Who really asked for this? It's got some character to it. The art is great. The animations are kind of bad. The gameplay itself is boring. It's purely mechanical. And the tabletop simulator mod for Warhammer 40K provides a funner, more complete 40K tabletop experience than Sanctus Reach ever has a hope of giving you. Bottom line, if you want to spend $30 on this, then that is your choice. I had higher hopes for this game because of the visuals and the way it was marketed, which Slytherin are masters of doing proper marketing. But at the end of the day, it just feels like it could use more work. Or like it's just one giant advertisement for the Sanctus Reach miniatures box. That's a distinct possibility. So, the game is meh. The game is okay. But there should be more here. There really should. So, take a look at it for yourself. It's available on Steam for $30 or your regional equivalent. That's $30 United States. And, you know, you might have a different experience, but I just found it got boring really quick. Everything feels rushed and underdeveloped instead of developed properly. Does everything work? Yes. Does everything look good on the surface? Yes. But once you get into the meat and potatoes of it, them's some unsalted potatoes, and that meat is not properly cooked or seasoned. In the meantime, this has been Fiaura in association with 40K Theories. I hope you enjoy this review, and I hope it helps you make the decision purchase on the game. I'll see all of you guys next time.